Hey y'all, how's it going? Hope everybody's had a good week. It's been a good week here. And yeah, it's been a good week. Hot, very hot, but it's been a good week. And if you could smell what I'm about to eat right now, oh my God, it smells so good. This, I'm gonna call it my grandmother Vera's chicken casserole. Now, probably every member of your family has one of these chicken casseroles that your grandmother used to make and all that kind of thing. And my grandmother, Vera, I called her Mama, would take this casserole to most every function that we ever had. And if we were having a special dinner or anything like that, the chicken casserole was there. Now, after she passed away, my mama started cooking it. And I've cooked it a few times. There's no recipe, or there was no recipe. I don't actually know if I'm doing it right or not. But it pretty much tastes like it did that I remember anyway. So I think it's good. But I was thinking this week about what made me think about this was I was remembering when I was a kid, we used to have a summer family reunion every year. It was the Clark family reunion. My grandmother was a Clark before she married my grandfather, who was a Bellamy. And my grandmother, Vera, she had her sister, Laura B., and there were several other brothers and sisters, Chandler and Ruth and Francis, and there were several of them. And we always just kind of knew who they were. They were very much Southern ladies and gentlemen. My grandmother and my Aunt Laura B., I can remember, I don't ever remember seeing them not put together. Always dressed appropriately. Even just to sit around the house, they were always dressed. Cooked every day, and their hair was always done. The right jewelry was on, the whole thing. And they were just very much Southern ladies. My grandfather, Sam, Gramps, and Uncle Chester, who was Aunt Laura B.'s husband, two of the finest men I've ever known in my life. I've never heard either one of them ever say a bad word about anybody. And just really, really good men. And I'll tell y'all some stories about my grandparents another time. But we used to have this family reunion every summer. There was the Clark family reunion. And we would have it at the Elk Club in Elberton, Georgia. Aunt Laura B. and Uncle Chester, they lived in Elberton. Now, I don't remember who all was there. I remember that we would try to have it in the summertime when my Aunt Beck and Uncle Larry and Melissa could come from Florida. And then I remember that my cousin Dawn, Winnie, Bonnie, and Billy, who were the children of Aunt Laura B. and Chester, we would always all be there. And then I remember my cousin Tommy Clark, who, by the way, was never called anything by me, and still to this day, I call him Tommy Clark. His first name is Tommy, or Tom. His last name is Clark, but I've never not called him Tommy Clark. And I think all of our family has always called him Tommy Clark. Anyway, he and his family would be there. And so it would be just a real big celebration, a lot of people, 80 maybe people. Everybody would bring potluck. Everybody would impress everybody else with what they could bring. It was one of those, it was delicious. I was kind of in the middle of the grandkids. There was a group that was older than me, and then there was a group that was younger than me, but I was probably closer in age to the ones younger than me. And so I just always loved it. I loved the family reunion, and I loved that there were staples there. Like my Aunt Laura B, she had these rolls that she made. We would always have these rolls. My grandmother, Mama, she would always make this chicken casserole. And different people would bring different things, and then they would also add to it every year. Somebody always made like a red velvet cake. But my grandmother, Vera, she made a pound cake, so we'd have that too. My mama made an amazing banana pudding. So I know she would always take banana pudding. And I just remember these times, always so much fun, and everybody laughing and getting along, and just really, we would only see each other about once a year. But it was always a good time. A lot of those cousins I'm still in contact with. My cousin Bonnie, who was my mother's first cousin, so Bonnie would be my second cousin. She was Uncle Chester and Aunt Laura B's youngest child, excuse me. Her daughters, Dee Dee and Suzanne, are still close to me. My cousin Don, who passed away several years ago, his wife Tina is still alive. And they were from the city, so they were our city cousins. They came from Atlanta to the Elberton events. And I'm still very close to Lisa and Elena and Donnie. Real close to them as well. I always enjoy, Lisa will call me every now and then. I'll be like, oh God, what's happened? And she's like, no, everything's fine. And me and her and Elena will just get on the phone and we'll catch up on all of the family drama and things going on in the family. So that's always fun. My cousin Dee Dee that I was telling you about, we have a constant text change going on between the two of us. And it's been going on probably now for 20, 30 years. Just talking. My Uncle Billy, he has 3 children who I'm very close with. I love very much. And they're just awesome and a lot of fun, and live mainly in North Georgia and Charleston area. So don't get to see all these people a lot, but I'm in contact with them. My cousin Tommy Clark that I was telling you about, he and I see each other about twice a year whenever I do an event down in his area. He'll come and spend some time with me, and we'll laugh and have a good time. So it's always good to see them. But it just, it got me thinking that these traditions like family reunions and that kind of thing, they just don't happen that much anymore. And I think that if they did, we'd be probably a lot better off in the world. They weren't anything special, but they were just a time for us to all get together and fellowship and enjoy each other's company and be together and that kind of thing. So I think that was an important time. Chris, Janet, and Laura, I didn't even mention their names when I was talking about Uncle Billy's children. Chris, Janet, and Laura, excuse me. So, there's just, I think those family traditions are important. And it's one of those things that I'm afraid that we're getting too far away from. We actually tried to put together one of the reunions probably 10 years ago. And by that time, it was my generation's turn to be in charge of it. And we failed. And it wasn't what we'd hoped it would be. So maybe one day we'll be able to do that again. I think now, though, mostly, we stick with it. Most of us spend most of our time with our immediate family, which is great. But I think those extended relatives, they're always fun to stay in contact with as well. So this chicken casserole dish makes me think of those days and makes me think of those reunions. And I don't cook this thing very often, and I will probably eat on this probably for 3 or 4 days because it's a whole casserole dish. But it just reminds me of those days. And did your family have family reunions? Tell me about that. I'd love to hear about your family reunions and the traditions that happened at those reunions. So before I go, I did a cooking video of this, but I'm gonna be honest with you, it was a mess. So I have sped it up, and I'm gonna put it at the end of this talking video because it's a mess. But I do wanna tell y'all a little bit about what's in this dish, this chicken casserole, because it is really good. So I took rotisserie chicken and just cut it all up, and it was probably 2 cups of chicken. Now my grandmother Vera, she would have stood there and boiled that chicken and cut it up perfectly into cubes and everything else. I ain't got time for all that. So I just, I got a bag of frozen mixed vegetables that I put in here. Carrots, green beans, corn, and green peas. I hate green peas, but they're in here. I probably eat around them. And then I also added some onion to this. I've got 2 hard-boiled eggs that I broke up in here. 2 cans of cream of mushroom soup. And then I've got 1 cup of Duke's mayonnaise. Now, listen to me. If you're gonna make these Southern dishes, you gotta use Duke's mayonnaise. There ain't no other mayonnaise that comes up in the South. It's Duke's, all right? With the yellow label, black writing, Duke's mayonnaise. I'm telling you, you can't make Southern cooking without Duke's mayonnaise, so get it. I got some onion in here. I've got some onion salt in here. I've got some garlic pepper in here, which I know my grandmother didn't put pepper in here. I can tell you that right now. What else is in here? That's it for the first step. So I covered it up, put it in the oven at 350 for about 30 minutes. Took it out of the oven and put cheese on top, whatever kind of cheese you got. I just had some mixed cheese, so I just put it on the top. The most important ingredient in the entire menu, potato sticks, okay? These things topped every good Southern casserole when I was growing up. They have no purpose. Just gives it a little crunch, but they're the most important ingredient on this. Sometimes my mom would make this and she wouldn't have these, but she'd have some saltine crackers. So she'd, potato sticks. They're hard to find. I got this great big can at Wally World, and I just wanted one of the small cans, but they only had this. And then I went to Ingles when I found one. But they're not where they're not easy to find. I thought they would be where those fried onion, those little cans of fried onions are that you put on top of your green bean casserole. They ain't there. They're over next to the potato chips and stuff. Who knew? Anyway, so then cook it for another 10 minutes with all that on there. And that's it. But I'm gonna tell you what, it sure is good. Hey, listen, y'all have a good week and have a good weekend. And think about those family reunions. Did y'all ever have them? And what was your favorite part of them? Because I just loved them. I had the best time. I was a little kid and got to see all my kinfolk and all that kind of stuff and just loved it. Anyway, you'll have a great day. Tell your mom and your daddy, aunts and uncles, grandma and grandpa, brothers and sisters. Tell them all I said, hey, and y'all be good. Have a great week. I love y'all so much. See you soon. Hey, how's it going? Great week. It's been good so far. So, I'm making something today that my grandmother used to make. It was always kind of part of our celebrations. And I loved it. I don't like it a lot. And I'm not sure that I made it what she does, honestly. But I used to make it. I made it for family dinners every day. Also, but today is not family dinners. We make it good. It's really good. It's a chicken casserole. And my grandmother used to make it. And I'm also going to make it. It's okay. I got a couple and a half of shredded chicken. That is rotisserie chicken. Really good. I just rotisserie chicken, chopped it all up, or quarter part, chopped it, quarter part. Mixed vegetables, frozen. Okay, this is corn, green beans, carrots, and green beans. True fact, I hate green beans. Hate them. Yeah. So, more than likely, I'll get all those green beans out right here. I just want to put this onion in here. So, we each have a family reunion or something. But my grandmother, Vera, is Southern family. It was Clark's Southern family. With my mom's mom. And every year, it was always a at the Moose Lodge. And it's only 67 years or something. No, I made it. I know about it. And I don't like it. I quit. I realized being like 80 of the I saw this on pretty much and so we went down to the lodge and opened it. It's big. And another way, my mom would have with this fish. And I don't have double verification on it, but it did. And I just know it's fish. And it's good, but it's chicken. Anyway,
stop down to the family reunion, Duke mayonnaise, Duke mayonnaise, Duke mayonnaise. Stop, hard stop, Duke mayonnaise. I'm trying to realize here, Duke mayonnaise. Here, how about a cup of Duke mayonnaise? Here, I don't know, that's right. So, we know we're going to understand Now, my mother, Vera, she was home her whole life. And when my old started this way, I say my grandmother a lot, we never all together. Those memories I value forever. And she's the one that I think helped me out, cooking, flowers, and all that stuff. She's all that. And so, she's the one that, it's still like, two days, and so, we got this family reunion every time. And all families here. So, like my grandmother, she had a sister named Marty. Marty had Marty's sister, and 4 children. Dawn, Winnie, Bonnie, and, oh gosh. Oh no. Oh no. So then we had those 4 families. My family, my mother's sister, and her family. And then my grandmother here had more brothers sisters, some in Virginia, all over the place. So, you know, I might put that other second hand up. No, some sort of and look at it. Anyway, so I was one of the younger, I guess I was like younger kids. So the whole class of family, and we football. And then we were old kids that, you know, it was cool. Anyway, so we said, it's not even really, I'm totally, I just completely dropped the entire, do things down into this bowl. Oh, Lord. Right, so that's all the things. That's all the things. Oh, I can't do this. Anyway, and some garlic powder. I know, I really know some. I just like honey powder. There's garlic powder. I don't really know but I think we make lots and lots of it. Okay, so really, I got that much. And as I grown up, I like something. I say, you want to sit out. But I was trying to say, touch it. And I enjoy that. Most of all our answers out are gone now. Most of them aren't. And we're all in here. But those are one days. We're all very different. Of course, I went through this thing. We're all very different. But we all belong away. And it's a whole different type of family. We're all together as a family. And we're probably see each other a lot. We're here, sadly. Now that we know each other is funerals. We'll see each other. A lot of social media. So we're all most of us say each other. Right. Some spells here. Try it out. I'm gonna take this. We're not bring it. I'll bring it. Don't bring it. Now, check it out. What is cheese on it? However, the most important part of this dish is potato sticks. Now, these will be drizzled on the top of this for the last 10 minutes. Potato sticks really don't have any purpose other than to top of over casserole. But for a minute, we're not using that anymore. I got these at the bottom, and I'll take my nose to the can. We're going to make that anymore. And then I go to the handles. Okay, so I'm going to this. I'm going to cover it. I'm going to cover it. Go and then place on top. And wait, I'll try this. So let's just back up for a second. Uncle Billy, love Uncle Billy. He's brothers with Don, Winnie, Bonnie. My family is Joyce and Mom, and Beck, her sister. They have Tom Clark, the Clark family. And some other cousins, Daniels, all those guys. We see each other a lot. We see each other. But Uncle Billy, love him. And I love to taste. I love to taste. I brought a whole jar down to the mixer. So 2 things I did for the Thursday. So I don't know. I like what I